7 o'clock. Everybody is here. Good evening and welcome to the 2023 West River Modified Union Education District Annual Informational Meeting. I'm glad you could attend. My name is David Lebo and it's my privilege to serve as your Education District Moderator and will be the moderator for this meeting. This meeting is being recorded and can be watched later in the future on BCTV. Before we begin, I'd like to review a few instructions on how to participate in the meeting and the meeting guidelines. We're all used to Zoom, but I'm going to go through them anyway. When joining, please mute your microphone. And if you're joining by phone, please press *6 to mute and unmute. Please make sure your name is displayed correctly on the screen so you can be called on correctly. And use the rename function to make any changes. If you wish to speak, use the raise hand function feature under reactions or participants. If you're joining by phone, use the *9 to raise and lower your hand. I will call on participants as hands are raised. The chat will not be monitored for questions or comments on the agenda items. Please use the raise hand feature. I will call on your name and the last 4 digits to speak. When called on, please unmute and identify yourself and the town you are from. After you're done speaking, please mute your microphone. As each agenda is completed, please lower your hands. I would like to remind you that this is an informational meeting only to answer questions related to warned articles. We are not voting on any articles tonight. There can be no motions or amendments. You cannot change the articles at all. This is purely informational. Please ask clarifying questions on the warned articles. To keep things moving, I will allow all to speak once per article and then not more than twice. When we discuss elections, I will allow a candidate a brief introduction and background if they would like, but campaign speeches and policies will be deemed out of order. The election on these articles, as written, is tomorrow, Wednesday, March 22nd, at your respective polling places beginning at 9 a.m. in Townsend, Brookline, and Newfane, and 10 a.m. in Jamaica and Wyndham, with all polling places closing at 7 p.m. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the West River Modified Union Education District Board and the administration, if I can get it out. I see Al. I don't know how to do this. Who's here? Is that it? Do we need to introduce everybody anyway? Al, go ahead.
Sure, we can. So I'm Al Clausen. I'm the board chair.
I'm Joe Winrick. I am the vice chair.
And we actually can't see who's out in Zoom right now, but if go ahead and
You can see it on the side.
There, you can see the names here.
oh right. Dana, you want to go ahead?
You're muted.
Something's wrong with his mic.
Hi, Dana.
He introduced himself. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Bertram from Newfane.
And is that truly Katie or is that Drew?
It's Katie, not Drew.
Oh,
He's
sorry.
in a meeting.
Okay, sorry.
Sarah.
That's great.
Sarah.
And Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Webb. I'm an at-large seat. I live in Brookline.
Great, thank you. And I think that was it.
Okay.
If I missed somebody, let me know.
If they pop in. Okay. I'd like to thank the school board administration, teachers, and employees for all the hard work they do for our schools and our towns. I now call the West River Modified Union Education District 2023 Annual Informational Meeting to order. The legal voters of the West River Modified Union Education District, comprising the voters of the towns of Brookline, Jamaica, Newfane, Townsend, and Wyndham, are hereby warned and notified that all articles of business, Articles 1 through 11, for the 2023 annual meeting will be voted on by Australian ballot on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023, at their respective polling places beginning at 9 a.m. in Brookline, 10 a.m. in Jamaica, 9 a.m. in Newfane, 9 a.m. in Townsend, and 10 a.m. in Wyndham. Polls close in all such towns at 7 p.m. on the following articles of business. I will not read the entire warning, but hopefully everybody has their booklet and it's in front of them. So, we now can move on to Article 1 for discussion, to elect a moderator. Anybody? Anybody? I'd be more than happy to do it again if nobody's interested.
Nominate David Lebo.
If you have someone in the audience here.
Well,
tell
since
them.
I didn't get the name in time, oh, yes. Hi.
I can second that, or do you want me to nominate?
No,
Go
we
ahead
don't
and
do
nominate
anything.
him. No?
I will
We're
nominate.
just here for information. And I'm just
We
telling you
elect
that
you
I'm
tomorrow.
willing to run again if you
Oh,
remember how
so
to,
you don't
if you
need-
remember how to
oh,
spell
I
my
see.
name, write me in because I didn't get my name in time. How's that?
Got it.
I see
Got
what
it.
you're saying.
I
Oh, okay,
understand.
now I understand. Got it. I thought it was a
That's it.
procedural
That's
thing
all we
for
can
this
do.
meeting.
That's
Me
it.
too.
I mean, this is just information. So, Article 2, to elect a clerk. Sarah Wiswall is currently clerk. Do we know if she's running again?
Yes, my name is on the ballot.
Oh, it is on the ballot. Oh.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. Article 3, to elect a treasurer. That's something I didn't have. Is there a name for treasurer on the ballot?
Lori, I believe you're our current appointment. Is that right?
Lori is currently appointed.
I am.
On the ballot, or appointed?
I'm appointed by the board because there wasn't anybody elected.
Right, so you're running this time? People
I'm
are
willing to be
going to
appointed again. I don't think I can run.
Okay, sounds good. That's Article 3. Moving on to Article 4. Shall the voters of the district authorize the Board of School Directors to borrow money by issuance of bonds or notes not in excess of anticipated revenues for the next fiscal year? Any discussion? No discussion there. Article 5. Shall the voters of the district approve compensation to the current officers for their services during fiscal year 2024 in the following amounts? Moderator, $250, clerk, $2,000, treasurer, $2,000. Any discussion there? Okay, hearing no discussion. Article 6. Shall the voters of the district approve compensation to the school directors for their service during the fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $1,000 for the directors and $1,200 for the chair of the school board? Any discussion there? Seeing no hands raised, we'll move on to Article 7. Shall the voters of the district set the date of the 2024 annual meeting as the fourth Tuesday in March? Any discussion there? Okay. Article 8. Shall the voters of the West River Modified Union Education District approve the school board to expend $13,543,610 for grades pre-K through 12, which is the amount the school board has determined necessary for the ensuing fiscal year? Discussion? Hands up? Anybody?
Sorry, David.
Yes.
Joe-
Did I say the wrong amount?
No. Joe just pointed out in the last article, apologies, that we are actually the fourth Wednesday of March, at least this year.
It's this meeting, this is Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
But annual.
Okay, so that's the meeting, that's the
That's this
informational
meeting.
meeting, not the
Oh,
voting
oh,
meeting.
oh.
Okay.
Correct.
Because then this is the third Tuesday in March, so we're still moving a little bit.
We are.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, David.
That's okay, you can't change it anyway, rewarn it. That's what you have to do. Okay, yes. Lori, you had a hand up?
We do, the board and I have a presentation, a budget presentation. If we'd like, would you like us to do that now?
It has to do with Article 8. That sounds
It
good
does.
with me.
Okay,
Would you like to do the presentation? Absolutely.
okay. Could I have sharing capabilities? I think I do, actually.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Okay,
Yes.
I think Al's gonna start us off, so,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll hit the first few slides before we get too technical and then hand it back over to Lori. So.
all right.
All right, so yes, let's jump right to that. So in building a budget, we look to our mission first as, what are we trying to do for our students? And as you can see right here, we do have what our mission statement is. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but just want to again say that we kind of ground what we do on this mission statement. So, and also, this is just something that we had done, Bob, correct me, 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago? We did
Just
it-
after the merger, right?
Just after the merger, that's right. Did a deep dive into our core values, our district values. And this is also something that we refer to and reflect on when we're building a budget. It's kind of our North Stars, what we're trying to do for the students. So, and I will definitely not read all of that, so. But lots of great information in there. And then jumping to the next slide, we have some fast facts here. So we do have 3 elementary schools, pre-K K through grade 5. 1 middle and high school, grades 6 through 12. Currently serving 495 total students. And on this next slide, sorry, you can see that, there we are again. So in FY23, we have 495. By FY30, it goes to 432. Did a little rough math this afternoon. That's about a drop of 12.8%, or 1.8% per year over the next 7 fiscal years. So I believe that's an improvement over what I have seen previously. I want to say we were more north of 3% drop per year, so this is it's kind of an encouraging slide. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lori.
All right, as Al spoke about the mission and the values that all go into building a robust budget for our 495 students, we also, we make sure that there's enough money for our Tier 1 support strategies, which is your teachers in your classroom, right? Making sure that they are funded. And also for Tier 2, which is also what we call nowadays MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, which are our academic support teachers and our special education teachers, making sure that all students are supported in all those areas. We also look at different programs and decide if, they're worth breathing more life into them, or if they are ready to be, go a different direction or even sunset. An example of this is the Journey Away, which was Journey East and now is Journey Away, and I think Bob will speak to that a little bit later in the slideshow, but that's where we looked at it and came up with some forward-thinking solutions. We're investing in a safe and functional plant. This budget has a line item for deferred maintenance, and there's also another article on the warning that also asks voters to put money into a capital fund. So really investing in all of the plants. And we try to take a long-term perspective. This is what you've been hearing a lot of, is long-term planning, and you'll hear more of that. And just to be transparent and open. Answering questions, just getting the information out there. We want to just make sure that everybody has access to what they need to make a great decision in the voting booth. So we're going to dive into some numbers now. The budget is up 4.87% in expenses. And revenues are down a bit, 15%, mainly due to, a lack of tuition students at this point, but that can turn around as well. So then the all-important number of education spending, the 12,700,000, right there, that's what we need from the ed fund, and that's what drives the tax rate. So as we look down, as Al talked about the decline, there was a 3.8% equalized pupils. We were looking at ADM before on that other graph, a little bit different, average daily membership. Those are the students sitting in the chairs. And this is the weighted students after it goes through the funding formula. So there was a loss of students there as we would have predicted as well. And the big news this year, or one of the big news, is the yield. You can see the yield is up 16.3%. And the yield is, simply put, it's set to ensure that the ed fund has enough money to support all of the anticipated education funds in the coming year. So this is after the state sets this number, after all other revenues are accounted for, so sales tax and other grants and things that come into the ed fund. So this is the amount that they come up with that says this is what we are setting as our yield to make sure that we have enough to fund the 12,700,000 for West River and all the other districts in the state. So that gives us a cost per pupil of 26,000 here. But what's really important to see is this potential unified tax rate. So as you can see, this tax rate is actually lower, 3.68%, than last year's tax rate. So, if I'm looking at this slide, I'm saying, great, my taxes are going down. That's wonderful news. But as we'll see later in the slideshow, that we have another component to the funding formula called the common level of appraisal. So, and we'll talk about that more as we move forward. So here are the major increases to the FY24 budget. Normal salary increases, assessments coming through, some project-based learning. That actually was grant funded through the ESSER funds, and so it is now being put into the local budget. We also have the Vermont EMS Academy. There may be a potential grant coming in for that, but the board felt it a worthwhile investment and decided to put it into the local budget as well. We have some more guidance, a pilot in Newbrook for some literacy curriculum. And then these down here, along with the project-based learning, were also grant funded. So, this is what happens when you fund positions with grants. There has to be a decision made, and the administrators made a very good argument for keeping these positions as we are not really done with COVID. So they were put into the local budget. And then some money for the after-school program as well. Bob, would you like to talk about the investments that we've got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that she mentioned was the partnership with VEMSA. So we started that partnership this year actually through our winter activities program, where a group of students were able to go to the VEMSA facility. Transportation was provided by VEMSA, and do some outdoor rescue type training, and our kids had a really good experience with that. That kind of whet their appetite for course signups for next year, which is where this comes in. So right now we're looking at a program where students could go there every day for the year, and in the first half of the year essentially complete their EMR certification and in the second half of the year, essentially complete their EMT certification. Now, they have to be 18 in order to receive either of those at the end, but the training program is in place for them to be able to do that. And again, they will be providing transportation for our students from here to there and back, which is pretty cool. So that's what the investment addition to the budget includes, and we're pretty excited about getting that set up. And there's a potential for some dual enrollment options through Castellan as well for anatomy and physiology class as well. So we're still tweaking some of the details on that end, but that's what that is. The project-based learning is a program that we have started here a few years ago and really started to have it grow. And you can see we have a weekly, what we call PBL block, where the entire school, grades 6 through 12, participates in some sort of project-based experience. And this semester, for example, we have kids working, 6th graders through 12th graders working together. We have some that are just high school, some that are just middle school. But you can see the list on the screen of some of the different variations where kids have to challenge themselves to some kind of answer some kind of essential question. And we just had our first journey away, which is related to this. Maybe that's the next slide. Next slide, Lori.
Yeah.
So this is all. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay. So the Journey Away program, we just had a group of students return from a week plus travel experience. So just to kind of give a little background, as the Journey East program began to, we began to realize that the revenue that was being generated historically, either through grants or through tuition students from China, began to dry up, that we had to figure out what we were going to do in moving forward. So we took away sort of the best elements of the Journey East experience, which was, again, sort of project-based component, collaboration with kids, creativity, and of course travel. And so the great example is this group that just went, did a journey away on climate disasters, where they traveled to New York City and studied the effects of Sandy, and then traveled from there via train to New Orleans, where they met and studied and collected oral histories around Katrina, and made their way back, and now they'll spend some time this spring collecting local histories here around Irene. So the whole theme and travel is all kind of built into this, but they came and presented to the board, and they'll, I'm sure, come and talk to you again about how cool their experience was. And anyway, so that's sort of how the tweak of Journey East is morphing into these little mini academies where kids are going to be able to experience travel either within the state, out of the state, or potentially internationally, themed around these projects. So that is the Journey Away.
Great. All right, and just also, this budget also represents investments in farm to school in the elementaries as well, which is an important program that, has been supported by Food Connects, and we are also investing some local dollars in that as well. Students understanding where their food comes from. So moving on to more of the money piece of things, this is where we have a breakdown of, the budget and where are the investments landing. And direct instruction, student support services make up 67% of this budget. Operations of buildings, food service, technology, the transportation, all of those things to run the operation of West River, 18%. Administration and board costs, which also include the assessment from the supervisory union, 12%. Debt service, nice and low there at 2%, and investment in capital projects, 1%. This does not include the additional article, so that would probably push it up to a 2% as well. All right, so your expenses equal a cost per pupil. And we talked about this before, so I won't go and read all of this, but basically your total expenses minus your offsetting revenues gives you your ed spending divided by the equalized pupils gives you your cost per student. So I think it's important to note that the cost per student is 10% higher than last year. And certainly in the cohort, West River's cohort throughout the state, West River does come in at the top. But that number is also, it's a very true number for West River. And I want to just kind of take a side road here for a second and talk about that cost per pupil, because you hear that throughout the state. And what you don't hear is other districts that have large fund balances, capital reserves or operational reserves, apply funds to that every year, and it artificially drops down their cost per pupil. So, West River did not do that this year because of the high yield and because the unified tax rate was lower than last year. So once you take that cost per pupil and you divide it by the property yield, then you get your unified tax rate. And the reason that the cost per pupil is important is because there was a per pupil threshold, which was $22,204 this year. However, thankfully, the penalty for that has been suspended. So we're just gonna not talk about that right now. It probably will come back in 2029, but that is part of the equation. So as I said before, the $1.70, the unified tax rate is 3.68% lower than fiscal year 23. However, that's not what you see on your property tax bill. Okay, so what you see on your property tax bill is the actual tax rate has to run through the common level of appraisal. So who does this tax rate affect? It affects everybody, and it affects everybody a little differently. So this is what the tax rate does look like after it has gone through the CLA. So I just want to talk a little bit, because the big news really is this year, the CLA. You've probably heard about it. You've heard, people really being upset about it. As I said before, if the CLA was 100%, then West River's, all of your tax rates would have gone down this year. However, that's not the case. And the CLA is basically, it's a result of an equalization study that's done every year. And the study compares the ratio of your grand list in your town, so it's town specific, to the sales prices for all of the, what they call arm's length sales in your town over the prior 3 years. So what have we been dealing with, right? We've been dealing with pandemic spending, and houses selling for much higher than their value. So this is where these CLAs, as you can see from 2020, with the exception of an anomaly here in Brookline, you can see that they've all dropped, in some cases pretty significantly. If you look at Wyndham, being at 104 down to 70. So that has a major impact on the tax rate. So you will see that here are the tax rates here for each town. Again, these are proposed tax rates. There will be some things, not some things, what could change before June 1st, which is when the tax rates, I submit the documents to the state that sets the tax rate. The yield could change. The yield could go up or the yield could go down, depending on what's needed, again, to fund the education fund. So these are merely estimates. They will probably change. So we've got Brookline up 19 cents, 10.3%. Jamaica up 10%. Newfane up 2.83%, and Townsend barely down a penny there. And Wyndham, of course, being up 20% on their tax rate, on the portion that they pay of the secondary piece of things. So how do you pay your taxes, right? So there's basically two ways. You pay on what we call full boat if you earn $134,800 if your household brings in that much money. And if you are below that, then you qualify for a property tax credit. Just an example, and it's an example of Newfane, and just to kind of get a sense, because I believe in the state of Vermont, the percentage is about 66% of taxpayers, property taxpayers, get some sort of tax credit, property tax credit. You can see in the column that's 140,000 of household income, that's what, again, the full tax impact right there. That's what you're seeing for Newfane's tax rate. And then you can see where as you earn less, that number, goes down depending, and then again, it depends on your house value. So I would encourage you to get your tax bill in hand and go to the property tax calculator, which you can find on the Vermont tax website. Or this presentation is on the West River website, so you can click on it right here as well. And you can plug in the numbers and get a sense of what your property tax credit could be. Everybody's tax situation is different, so this is just basically to show you how it works from a 30,000-foot view. I can't see hands, David, so if there's anybody with questions, you could. Thank you. So what's your next step? To vote. Get out there and vote. And then there is some future planning that is being done. I don't know, Al, if you want to just speak to that briefly.
Sure, yeah, we could just mention that we are in an iterative process right now. Say that 3 times. With Stevens and Associates to look at a one campus model. So our long-term planning committee and Stevens are working closely with each other on that, and certainly we'll have more to report out next year. But as Lori was talking about, and Bob as well, it's going to be about investments, right? We're investing and looking to the future. Not what do we want to do for the next 2 or 3 years, but what we want to do 5 years, 10 years, and generationally that will sustain the West River Education District. So that we're really looking hard at what is best for the true long term.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me on the budget itself or the presentation?
Hearing no other questions, is that it?
That's it from me.
That was great, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay.
Stop sharing.
Stop sharing, yes.
There we go.
Okay, any other discussion on Article 8? Questions, Article 8? I see no hands for Article 8. Okay, Article 9. To elect one at-large school director who is a resident of the district for a 3-year term. There are 3 names on the ballot, and write-ins are always acceptable. Do you want to just introduce, is anybody, I see Barbara's here. Is that it? Should we have them? Barbara, do you want to just say hi?
Dave, we also
Hi.
have,
What?
sorry, never mind, go ahead.
So,
Good.
am I on?
Yep.
Okay, hi. Those of you who don't know me, I have lived in, I'm gonna get rid of my dog here for a second. He started barking. I lived in Townsend for nearly 28 years, and 26 or 7 of those years I worked at Leland and Gray in the library. I recently retired, and I think it's important to have viewpoint on the school board of someone who has worked in education, to represent the teacher viewpoint. That's
Thanks.
basically it.
Thanks. Anybody,
Dave, we also have
What?
Kate here as well.
who?
She's in our audience right here.
Who, Ken?
Kate Gearing.
Hi there.
Kate, yes.
I will project. Hi, I'm Kate Gehring. I live in Williamsville with my family, my husband and our kids. My background is as a lawyer, and before that as a journalist. I am a member of the Newfoundland Planning Commission, and I sit on the Morphy Library Board.
Wait, Barbara, can you mute?
Sorry, yeah.
And I'm a co-founder and current steering committee member of West River Valley Mutual Aid. I have served on nonprofit boards here in Vermont, and before my family moved here full-time in New York, where I served on a community education council, which is not identical to, but has a big overlap with our school boards here. It was a parent council that we're in a district with a big range of kids in schools, but filled a lot of the same roles. We're just
Great.
doing it.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you. Is Ken around? Or is Ken?
Don't see Ken.
Okay. Nope, don't see Ken. Okay. That's Article 9, and of course, write-ins are acceptable and welcome. Article 10. Shall the voters of the West River Modified Union School District authorize moving operational surplus, if any, from fiscal year 2023 to the Operational Reserve Fund? Questions about that? Anybody? Hands? Seeing no hands, no discussion? Okay. And Article 11. Shall the voters of the West River Modified Union School District transfer $100,000 of Operational Reserve Fund to the Capital Reserve Fund? Discussion? No? Did somebody want to say something before about it? No? Okay. Hearing no discussions. Anything else to come before the informational meeting? Anybody would like to discuss any other non-binding issue? Wow, it's awfully quiet. Okay, seeing no further business to come before this meeting, again, I'd like to thank the school board, the administrators, teachers, and employees for all they do for our schools and towns. Don't forget to vote tomorrow, Wednesday, March 22nd, at your respective polling places, beginning at 9 a.m. at Townsend, 9 a.m. at Brookline, 9 a.m. at Newfane, 10 a.m. at Jamaica, and 10 a.m. in Windhoek, with all polling places closing at 7 p.m. I declare the meeting adjourned. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, everybody.